Check this out here. Oh, gotta turn the volume down. Check this out here. Oh, gotta turn the volume down. Check this out here. An infinite loop. We're gonna have an infinite loop here. There we go. All right, little rough start, kind of like last time. But hey, at least we started on time. At least the time that I was intending to start, which was 4 o'clock, but I accidentally put in 3:49, something like that. So yeah, we'll work on that. Anyhow, welcome. Happy Thanksgiving early. We are going to be working on our meats. So today we've got turkey quarters, turkey wings, and turkey breasts that have been brining overnight. This is just a basic brine, so 1 cup of salt, about 8 ounces of salt per gallon of water. And that is what we have. That's what we're looking at here. So I'm going to roll up my sleeves. All we're going to do is transfer these to the next meat lug. And then we're going to pull out the bacon. We're going to see how the bacon looks about 24 hours later. It's probably not going to look much different than it did a few days ago, but let's go ahead and get the condensation off from here. So this is the turkey that I butchered yesterday. It is the turkey that is in the short on our channel. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. I accidentally posted it on my personal channel, and it's hilarious because some of the responses, it's like, how cruel. I can't believe you would show him live and then dead. And it's like, well, you know where your food comes from, right? You probably eat meat, at least at some point in time. All right, get out of there, cat. Come on. You can't be up there. Sorry about that. Cat emergency. All right. So brining the meat does a couple of things. It helps lock some moisture in. It helps remove some moisture so the meat can cook faster and be more tender and moist. And it also salts. It pre-salts your meat so that salt gets all through your meat before you even start cooking it. There's some different schools of thought on that. I'm not really going to go into that. This is what we're doing. We have not done a turkey this way before. We've always done the whole bird, right? But there's a couple of benefits to doing a parted out bird. First of all, you get the carcass. So you can go and make some stock right away, some broth stock, which makes it so that you can make your gravy and your stuffing early. And that is what I have yet to do tonight. And the reason that this is going to be extremely helpful this year is because tomorrow we're waking up. We're not going to have time to prepare anything. We got to throw everything in the truck and then drive to my brother's where we're spending Thanksgiving. So we're going there for brunch, and then we're going to stay and work on the food until we eat at dinner. So I've got to have all of this ready to go and basically ready to pop out of here into a pan, fry it up. We're doing the fried method with the parts to keep it cooking fast and keep it so high and fast. And then we're going to maintain the most moisture and the most tenderness in this meat. I am going to smoke this low and slow tonight yet, but first of all, we've got to get it out here. Man, oh man, look at that. Doesn't that look good? We're going to get this out of here. And we are going to soak this for at least an hour in our other thing of water here. And ideally, we may not have to salt this at all. We'll see. There is our giant turkey breast. I think that thing weighs about 5 pounds. We're going to turn it around here. And yeah, this meat has soaked up a lot of that liquid too. Oh boy, now we're really full. All right, there we go. And I'm just going to take this lid, place it back on here. There we are. Okay. So let's get rid of this for a minute. Give me just a second here. Yep. Slosh around. Let me get the lid on it. These Cabela's meat lugs are really awesome. They've got snap-on lids now. New and improved snap-on lid. And I really enjoy that because now I can just, well, let me explain. The problem with the old lids is they just sat right on top. And if they had any kind of deviation, they weren't perfectly flat, you'd have like a corner sticking up over here. So until you set something else heavy on top of it, I mean, both of my other lids were like that. They had this little bend in them. Made it really kind of annoying. So let's see, where can I set this? Over here. Be right back. So while I'm off screen here, the other reason I wanted to do this live stream today was not just to show you the meat, but the other reason was to talk a little bit about just what's going on the farm. Nothing too crazy. We've got ewes that are really close to lambing. So that's something I'll be working on tonight. Getting a spot ready for them to lamb. All right. So first off, we've got two different things of bacon here. This is our, oh yeah, it's working. So this is our salt and sugar bacon. And all we're going to do with this is take another meat lug here. And we're simply going to transfer this bacon. Okay, let's turn it up on its end, actually. Not only so you can see it, but to allow the brine to drip off. The salt, about 2% by weight, and we actually did a little more than that. It's probably 4% by weight, 3 to 4% by weight. The salt actually draws moisture out of the meat, which is really awesome. What you have going on then is all of that moisture, all of the water in the meat gets pulled out, which means there's not enough water in there for bacteria to get into it and do its job. Water is the vehicle for bacteria to enter in and cause all sorts of mayhem in your meat. So when we add salt to the mix, and by the way, we're not doing nitrites or nitrates. I can neither recommend nor discourage you from doing that because of the USDA's requirements and all of that. But for our own personal consumption, I'm not going to do the nitrates and nitrites. The reason being, they're extremely toxic, in my opinion, based on what I've read from scientific research papers. They're extremely toxic to you. So a little bit here and there, probably not a big deal. But when you eat as much bacon as we do, yeah, probably not a good idea to be eating all of those nitrates and nitrites. But this alone is going to be a ton of bacon. This is going to be enough bacon for us for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Probably about 3 months of bacon right here. So all I'm going to do is pull this out, and I'm going to set it in the next. Whoop, can't do that yet. Hold on. Before I do any of that crazy stuff, we got to mix up some more salt. More salt and sugar. So we're going to do about equal parts salt and sugar. There we go. And just a little twirly twirl in there to mix it up. Nice thing about the Celtic sea salt is it is a wet salt. That is right. It is not fully dried, so there's actually moisture in the salt. I really like that because when you're mixing it with something like sugar, then you don't get all of the large chunks as you're mixing. A lot of times, one or the other will go to the top and the bottom. They won't actually mix up. But the moisture in the salt actually helps the sugar adhere to it and mix in. So then we're just going to take this one and we're going to sprinkle a little bit in the bottom. This is going to draw out moisture, attract moisture, and seal away water molecules so the bacteria can't use it to rot our meat. Okay, now we take this, pop it in there. And before we do that, quick, I'm going to add some more salt here, just where it looks like the salt has been absorbed into the meat. Now, chances are we're going to oversalt this, and I'm going to have to come back later. I'm going to have to come back later, and I'm going to have to add, I'm going to have to dunk these in water and soak them in water for, yeah, probably like overnight, just to draw out some of the salt and the sugar. Otherwise, this is just going to be way too salty. But I have made bacon before, or salt pork before, and that was the missing step in my preparation, was when I actually went to use it, I never soaked it before using it. So it was ridiculously salty, like insanely salty. So then I'm going to take this. Now it was perfectly cured. I mean, it was cured. It was going to last till the end of time. But wow, it was like a shock to the taste buds, like nothing before. So we take our other slab of bacon out here, and we throw it on there on top of the other slab. And the weight from one slab pressing down on the other is going to help push the moisture out, all those water molecules out, so that we are not allowing any bacteria to enter in and make use of that water as a vehicle to do its dirty, nasty work, which we've all smelled. You're born with an uncanny sense of when meat goes bad. You all know it smells like the old dumpster out behind Taco Bell on a hot day in the middle of summer. It's not pretty. Okay, one to go. One more to go. So we're gonna let the brine drip off. All right, so our ewes are doing really good. They're really close to lambing. We're hoping to get, let's see, we've got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pregnant ewes currently. And I'm hoping that we get, it'd be really nice to get 9 lambs this lambing season. All right, so that is dripping wet. I'm going to show you the bottom of this meat lug here in just a second. You're going to be shocked after just 24 hours how much liquid has come off from these guys. But we got to get this last one salted up because it's missing almost all the salt on the top. It's absorbed all that salt. As the moisture gets pushed out, the salt gets sucked in, the salt and the sugar. And I mean, that's what it's supposed to do. So it's good to see that. But we got to add a little more salt there. Make sure this curing process goes as it needs to in order to preserve and protect our meat and keep us safe from nasty bacterias. Again, I don't use nitrates or nitrites. This is kind of coming back into vogue, if you would. Did I just say that? Good grief. It's kind of coming back into style. There's been a lot of research on it. The science is fascinating. It's perfectly safe. I know that's heretical as far as the USDA is concerned. It's perfectly safe. But they want you to ingest the poisons. They want you to ingest the nitrates and the nitrites. So we make our bacon at home starting this year. Yay! Okay, enough salt, enough sugar. I promised to show you this meat lug. Let me just collect all of this and give you a close-up on it. I don't know if you can see that. It's going to be kind of hard to show. So let's get up closer to the camera here. But there it is down in the corner. That little dark shadow in the corner is the liquid. And it fills that corner up. Pretty cool. All that liquid. All that liquid came out of this meat, and that is preserving this meat. That is making this meat safe to keep longer. So normally, you know, you'd want to keep pork, raw pork, not frozen in the fridge, what, 4 to 7 days, maybe a little longer. Depends. But you cure it, you can store this in the fridge for a month, maybe 2, maybe even 3 months. I don't know. Don't take my word for anything on that. But without it going bad, you can store it for a lot longer. When we're all done, we're going to smoke this, and it's going to be delicious. We're going to cold smoke it. I still have to build that. Still have to build that house. Forgot about that. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Let's pull out the other thing of bacon here. Making the bacon. Actually, I want this lid. Ah, come on. And these new and improved Cabela meat lug lids, they really latch down. So that's awesome. My fingers are covered in salt and it's starting to hurt. So I should be wearing gloves, I'm sure, but I'm not. Okay, now this is the salt only method here. So instead of any sugar, which that means we've got to, I gotta tell you what we're gonna do with this is we're gonna just throw this on the bottom of our meat lug here. Go. Oop. All right. We're gonna just throw this around the bottom. That's gonna help collect liquid as it drains. Create a sanitary environment. And back on. Now, this one almost seems to have a little more liquid, at least resting on top of the meat. And you know what? I bet I understand why. I know why. It's because the curvature of the meat allows the salt to actually, or the moisture, the liquid coming off from it, the brine coming off from it, to actually sit in there and not run off. So I'm not sure. I might want to do something about that. Well, this one on top looks all right. So again, what we're going to do here is take this one off the top. Forgot. Got to get our salt ready. I like to put the salt in a bowl so I'm not reaching in. I am not reaching in, chew the bag with dirty hands. And contaminating the rest of the salt. All right, that's good for the bottom there. So we just want to let the brine run off the bacon once again. I'll let you see that on the other end here, the other side. Isn't that beautiful? That is a beautiful cut of bacon. Just kind of shake it off a little bit. So we're shaking up the brine, and the salt is coming off as well that was on it, so we're going to have to reapply some salt. So I'd say in a week, we're going to have some lambs, at least one. We should have at least one lambing in the next week. So I'm getting, because we live in a colder area than some, I'm getting the barn ready for them. Probably be working on that a little bit tonight. And this one, a lot more salt has been dissolved in this, and there's not a lot of brine sitting on the top there. I just realized there's a great big hunk of membrane on this one, which is probably inhibiting it's going to inhibit the salt from getting to the meat. See if I've got a good knife out here. I do not have a knife out here. Let's see if this knife will work. Yep, that'll work. I should have caught this last night when I was working on these initially, but it's never too late to do a little modification. Now, I'm not going to feed this to Philip because that's going to be super salty. It'd probably just make him throw up. Okay, now we have access to the meat there. So wash that. Throw a little more salt. Top of here. Throw a good amount right in there where we just opened that up. We're covering the sides with salt, making sure everything is covered in salt there. Again, the first one that we did is salt and sugar. This one is just salt. And curing without nitrates and nitrites is coming back. There's a lot of good information showing that it is safer than some would like us to believe it is, and probably a lot better for you if you do it correctly. And most botulism cases are related. This is not going to be politically correct, but most botulism cases are due to poor practices in preparing fermented tribal foods. Even in the U.S., a good number of them are from Alaska, and those are often related to fermenting a bird or some fish in a sealed black plastic trash bag. You can only imagine how much bacteria could easily get trapped in there. There's no way. See, so what we're doing is we're curing this and then we're shaking the brine off. Okay, there's a whole bunch of brine in the bottom here. So as moisture is getting sucked out of our bacon, we're not letting it just sit in there. And it's not sitting in a sealed bag that allows nothing to escape. All right, that's good enough. Sprinkle some more salt on there. %2 salt by weight, by the weight of your meat, is perfectly sufficient to cure your bacon, which just so happens to be what most people prefer when it comes to the saltiness of their food. There we go. Done. So I'll do this every single day. Today was day 2, or the end of day 1 of curing our bacon. This, by the way, does not seal down. It just kind of clicks, but it's not airtight. It's still, oh, that didn't click down. Oh, is it even going to? Oh, this is the old lid. Sorry. Yeah, it doesn't click. You need to split a piece of wood there? What? Okay. It's going to be pretty tough to split that with that. What? Yeah, if you do small enough pieces, you might be able to do it. It's tough. You'll see. You could probably do it, though. Talking about splitting a chunk of wood, we've got really, really hard ash, and Mrs. Freewarden grabbed my little 1 1/4 pound hatchet. No, what is it? 1 1/4 pound? Whatever it is. Anyway, grab that to split it, and it's like, it's a pretty good chunk of wood. But if she's just taking off little pieces, might be able to kind of splinter off little pieces with that hatchet. Okay, so with these, what we do with these, the empty ones now, take a look there. We've got maybe a 1/2 inch just back here in this corner of liquid, so it's not too bad. We have a lot more brine to pull out of, a lot more liquid to pull out of the bacon though. All right, so what we're going to do with these is we're going to wash these up, and then tomorrow we'll take these guys out, put them in a new clean one with salt on the bottom, put each one, we'll get the brine off from them, put each new piece of bacon stacked on top of the other. And the weight of each piece of bacon stacking on the other is also going to help push liquid out of the bacon, out of the pork belly. So if you are new at all to this channel, what we do here is we showcase, we share a little bit of our life here. We were last living in the city and then moved to an apartment in this area so that we could find our farm. When we found it, we bought it, we moved here. We had animals the day that we moved in. And we added a bunch of animals, sheep, pigs. We've got chickens, ducks, geese. We had quail, but they're gone for the winter. What else am I missing? Oh, we've got a couple of steer. And our journey is all about not really trying to be self-sufficient. I don't know that you ever really could be, and I think it's a misnomer to think that one individual family could be 100% self-sufficient. Even back in the day, you had villages that worked together. You had people that, even though they went out onto the frontier, they had neighbors. Maybe that neighbor was, a half hour, 2 hours a day away, but they would still rely on them to some extent. And so they'd have to, and they'd have to go back to town to get supplies. You can't do everything all by yourself, but we are just on this journey of trying to figure out what can we do. If it's not really about we think it's going to happen or not going to happen, but if it hit the fan, what are we capable of doing on our own? Well, it's not just about what are you capable of doing, but are you even able to do it? It has taken over a year for us to get our first little bit of bacon here. That's not to say that we didn't have meat. We did eat a lot of chicken last year, and we've been eating a lot of chicken so far this year. We've just gotten our pork, and that's after over a year and a half of getting on the farm. So conceivably, it could take, and we could have sped that up if we had gotten just some feeders day one and raised them out for, 6 to 9 months and then butchered them. But we bought pigs last year in the fall, and this year in the fall, our first feeders were up to size where I was ready to. I was like, okay, they're big enough to butcher now. We also bought breeders, and those breeders are raising so far. We had a litter of 6. Hopefully, we'll have another litter coming on soon. And they're Idaho pasture pigs. They love being outside. They love living in their little A-frame and trotting around the snow, rooting around in the snow. Last year, it was crazy. They were out, and I was thinking that they've got to be freezing to death. But they wanted to be out. So these are outdoor pigs. They're not CAFO pigs. They're not confinement feed animal operations. Anyway, that's to say that I'm learning that it takes a lot of time to kind of ramp stuff up. We've wanted to for a long time. It's not really about being self-sufficient for us, just living this lifestyle, and we really enjoy it. So what we've tried to do through our YouTube channel is share that a little bit with all of you. It's been fun. It's been interesting. There have been challenges. There have been failures. There have been good times, bad times, and all of the above. What we're trying to do with this channel is just share some of this with you. I know that when we were looking into getting into this sort of lifestyle, what we found was it was very helpful for us to find other people who were already doing it, who had already done it, who had already made mistakes, who had already had successes that we could watch and we could learn from. And so while we may not necessarily be a learning channel primarily, until we get to the live streams, and then I just yak and talk and teach. I can't help myself. I'm probably going to get in trouble for it someday, but we're not primarily a teaching channel. We're primarily, I don't know, I don't necessarily think that what we're doing is inspirational. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's not for me to say if it's inspirational or not, but just sharing some of the highlights of our life and our experiences here and what we're doing. Now, I'm going to get this back in the cooler because I just realized it's sitting out. But before I do that, let me show you our prosciutto, our Lega Hog. let's see how this is coming along. But we've got a nice brine coming off from this. Oh yeah. So here we go. This is a whole leg from the hock to the hip. And we are going to do nothing but salt this, let the salt soak into the meat thoroughly. This is going to take 3 weeks so that this is cured indefinitely, forever, no matter what, in whatever temperature, in whatever environment, wet, dry, hot, cold. This thing is going to last until we eat it or the end of the eon. Eon, whatever that is. So this is traditionally how they make prosciutto. So you know that prosciutto that you buy in the store, not made like this. This is how they used to make it. Now the prosciutto you buy in the store, I believe, has nitrates and nitrites in it. This stuff is going to be just salt pork, about, again, a little over 2% salt by weight. So the weight of the meat, we take 2% of that in the weight of the salt and sprinkle that on here. Now, there is some brine down here at the bottom. We are collecting brine. I'm not super worried about that. What I am worried about is any crevices in the meat, because these muscles separate and allow for that. We've got a deep crevice here. So I don't know about that. I think we're going to add some more salt to that. We're going to stuff salt down in that crevice, because bacteria can get into these crevices and contaminate the meat, and it's allowed to kind of get trapped down in there, anaerobic kind of bacteria that doesn't require oxygen and actually thrives outside of environments where there's oxygen. That is exactly where I would want to go if I was botulism. Okay, that's pretty good. And we're just going to put a light sprinkling of salt all over this prosciutto here. So the great thing is, after 3 weeks being salted and being stuck in the cooler, 3 weeks of collecting the brine at the bottom, pouring that off, or transferring this to a different meat lug, 3 weeks of letting that salt absorb into the meat and push moisture out, and then lock down water molecules. This thing is going to be able to be brought out and hung in our kitchen or in our pantry. And it's going to be a beautiful kind of centerpiece where cured meat, what's the fancy term for that? I can never remember. But where cured meat hangs out in your kitchen. I can't wait. I've seen it before. Other people that we watch have one of these, and then it's actually going to go through 2 summer sweats, where it's going to be, there's another little crevice there. This is going to be hanging over the summer. So summer next year, the thing is going to sweat. We're actually going to get juices and fats coming out of this, and that's normal. And then it's going to go through the winter again, and then another summer, and it's going to sweat again. And at that point, 2 years from now, at this time, so that would be probably December next year. Well, Thanksgiving next year. How about that? Thanksgiving, not next year, 2 years from now. What am I saying? Thanksgiving 2 years from now, this thing is going to be ready to pull off from the ceiling where it's hanging and slice up, or even just take thin slices out of it and then leave it hanging. So we'll have to see. I'm curious. And then this is going to be kind of like snack meat. So you can shave a little bit off, put it on a cracker, whatever. Anyway, good times. I'm going to throw this back in here. And we're going to throw them all back in there. I don't need to transfer this today. It's going to be maybe 2 more days. I'll let it sit. So not tomorrow, but the day after Thanksgiving, I'll be pulling this out and transferring it to a fresh, clean one. And then we'll wash this out and use it the next time we transfer it. And I probably won't be adding any more salt to this guy. The problem with adding too much salt, any more salt, is we've already added over 2%. Already added over 2% salt by weight. So in another, I don't know, 2 weeks. Oh, I forgot that's, haha, full of water. How long have we been going here? 41 minutes. Okay, so not quite long enough. But I'll show you what we started with here. We started with the turkey. We're going to end with the turkey. We're going to keep this one a little shorter than the last one. The last one was 2 hours and 12 minutes and some seconds. I'm just going to rinse the salt off my hand because whoo, that's starting to burn, dry out my fingers, which is what salt is supposed to do. It's supposed to pull the moisture out of flesh. So once again, we had these brining overnight, and we're just allowing this clear water to pull some of that salt out so that these are not ridiculously salty. It's looking good. Now what I'm going to do with these after we're done here is I'm going to smoke them low and slow for probably about 2 hours. So I'm probably going to let these soak for another good hour or so. Another hour and 20 minutes. We're going to smoke these low and slow. And then I'm going to, what was I going to do? Oh, I'm going to vacuum seal them so that I can throw them in the freezer to get them down to temp really fast. And then we're going to bring them back out and actually fry them up. When you smoke low and slow, this skin tends to get a little rubbery. So I don't want the skin to be rubbery. Tomorrow, we're going to pull them out of the vacuum sealed bags, out of the fridge, and probably let them come up to room temperature or close to that. And then we're going to throw them on a hot pan full of animal fat of some type, either butter, tallow, or we might just try to use the shawarmas from the turkey, although I don't know if I've got enough of that. I don't think I do. That's too bad. Okay, well, we're going to use probably some tallow, because tallow is pretty mellow. And we're going to fry these up with some garlic and rosemary and thyme and other seasonings, salt, pepper. And they're going to be amazing. Fry them hot and fast. Get the skin nice and crispy. Cook through the entire thing quickly so that you keep it tender. Oh, we'll probably fry these a little slower. Oh, the wings and the quarters probably need to be fried a little slower. The breasts, though, can be fried up really fast, so we'll probably do those at the end. And that way, we're going to have some delicious, tender and very juicy, moist turkey. Because the problem I've always had throughout the years is when you go to get your turkey at Thanksgiving and it's just ridiculously dry. And no matter how anybody does it, injecting it, soaking it in, copious amounts of butter or whatever, I've heard people say this is moist turkey. And I've tried it and it's like, no, it's really not. It's another dry turkey. This is a way that you can avoid drying out your turkey. So that's why we're doing it this way this year. We'll see how it goes. Theoretically, it should work, but we won't know for sure until we're done. Okay. So I've talked about the ewes. I've talked about our pigs. Anything else you guys need to know before I shut down the live stream? I don't know. Got to get the barn ready for the ewes who are about to lamb. I think that's about it. There's always another day to do another live stream and to talk about updates and do a little farm meeting. But for today, for now, I think we're going to shut this down. I got to get some work done out there. It's starting to get dark, or it's going to be getting dark very soon. What is it? 4:46. Yep, sun's going to set if it hasn't already any minute now. So I'm going to go get that barn ready for the ewes. You guys all take care. Stay safe. God bless. Hug somebody. Everything is going to be okay.